So this afternoon I am enjoying putting together, or getting prepared rather, these Newel posts. There's 4 of these full chamfered solid oak Newel posts and a half post as well, half Newel that I'm getting ready. And it's simple enough procedure. Although they come to some degree kind of ready to apply a finish to, I'm wanting to apply some of the Fiddes hard wax oil to these, and that specifies a 180 grit sanding finish on them to get the right kind of absorption. I think they've probably been finished, it's hard to say, but it's a very fine finish. It's probably more like 240. Maybe even as fine as 300 grit, and that means that the oil would likely not be absorbed sufficiently into the wood. So we're going to rough them up a little bit with the 180 grit, and it'll take the oil then to the right spec. And that also affects how dark or how light the wood is. So if you want it to absorb a bit more and the wood be a bit darker, then you use a coarser grit. Apologies for bits of traffic noise. I'm working with the door open today just to get a little bit of light in here. So just need a fairly light roughing up these by hand. I'm also just taking off a little off the edge of these corners because they're really sharp, and I don't really want them to stay like that, because apart from anything else actually it's a little bit dangerous. When wood has been freshly planed and prepared, it can be really sharp if it's been prepared with really clean tools. Then those edges can actually be a little bit hard. So we're just going to take that little bit of hard edge off them. So after doing each surface, we're just going to sand it down. Hoover it down just to get the initial dust off, and then once I've done all of the sanding, this is the last one, we'll run over them with a tack cloth before we apply the oil. You do need to be careful when sanding a hardwood like this, because like here you can see, I don't know whether this will focus here, the grain is just coming right, the end grain coming right close to the surface. Obviously it's a very shallow angle to the surface, and if you're not very careful there, you may find that your sandpaper just does enough to get under that and lift a splinter or two out of the wood, particularly on the corners. So really careful about that. So I am being very careful. The other thing worth mentioning about these is these arrived today, about an hour ago, and as soon as I've got them out of their packaging, they were all kind of cling filmed and strapped together in tape, and so as soon as I've got them out of their packaging, I want to get them sealed as quickly as possible. So that's why I'm doing this now today. Within hours of them arriving, just to make sure that we minimise as much as possible the risk that these are going to bow or bend or warp or twist in some way because of change in atmospheric conditions, particularly temperature and so forth, and humidity in wherever they've been stored or worked on versus here. Right, so they've all been sanded and hoovered now, and the next stage is just to give them a wipe down with a tack cloth. If you're not familiar with a tack cloth, it's these TACK tack cloth, and it's got a slightly sticky texture to it, which is a kind of oil, I think, and so it just lifts little fine bits of dust that are left on the wood, and there will be bits. It just gets that off because you don't want that in your final finish. So these will get one coat of finish today, and then with this Fiddes oil, you have to wait, depending on conditions, something like 4 to 6 hours before you can apply a second one. So I'm not sure that I'll get a second coat applied today because it's already about 2:30. It's possible. Depends how much energy I've got later in the day. We might be able to get them both applied. We'll see. So finishing them here now like this, it will help protect the wood as well. The install isn't for a couple of 3 weeks time, and if I've got some finish on them, they're less likely to get marked in a way that's going to damage the wood. There's something about oak, isn't there? It's a beautiful wood. And if we had smell-o-vision, you'd be able to smell it as well. Little flaw in the wood there. I'm just going to check that with some sandpaper just to make sure that it's not something that's on the wood, but it's something that's in the wood. Nope, that's a natural flaw. End of a knot or something like that. Okay, time to get some kind of finish on these. So this will change the colour quite a bit, at least until such point as they are, hang on a minute, dry. And I'm just applying this with a brush, very simple. Just so you can use a roller. Some people, I think, use a cloth for hard wax oils like the Osmo oil, but this says to use a brush or a roller, so that's what I'm doing. Let's go with a speck. Long strokes is the way to apply it. Really brings out the grain. Look, it's beautiful. I don't want it thick. I don't want a thick coat of this, but you do want to make sure it really does work into the wood. It's amazing, you do all that work with sanding and preparing it, and you still get little bits in the wood. You hoover it and you use a tack cloth. You hoover your bench and still bits fall into your workpiece. Make sure I don't get any drips down there. No, I hope it's not going to go too dark, because I don't want it to look like kind of some Gothic church furniture. Let's give you a bit of a closer view of this as we're putting this stuff on. In a minute I will have to pick it up and apply it vertically, because I obviously can't put a side face down that I've just applied some finish to. But we'll do what we can horizontally. So I have used this stuff before on a client's kitchen worktop. That was pine, and that was a complete refinish. It had to be stripped of all of its previous finish and then a new finish applied, and I chose to do it with this because we know that it's food safe, it's water resistant as well, and if you need to apply some refinish at some point because of damage, you can just do a localized rub down and repair, which you can't do with like a polyurethane finish really. Some nice long strokes to finish it here. Okay. Yeah, it's looking good. Right, we'll just adjust our camera angle again. Top down, bottom up, not sure it matters. I won't show doing of all of 4 of these, we'll just do one. The others are just going to be rinse and repeat. Same procedure. Looks nice. Okay, sorry. So there you go, that one is complete. Although when I can, when this is dried, I will probably also do the ends, just to seal the ends. Even though they will get trimmed, I just want to seal everything as quickly as I can. Great, we'll get the rest done. So sadly, some of the video that I took earlier, preparing these for their second coat of hard wax oil, was completely wasted because I managed to not turn on my transmitter mic, so I had no audio. So they're done now, and I thought I'd just quickly explain what I did. Very, very simple really. After the first coat, bit of a rub down with this gauze pad, Scotch pad I think some of our American friends call it. And then nothing too abrasive, too aggressive, by the way, just a quick denibbing really, and then a rub down, a wipe down rather, with a good old tack cloth, and then lamb to dry at least 4 to 6 hours if you're going to put another coat on. I'm not going to put another coat on these. I think this is plenty. It's a good finish. It's got a lovely sheen to it. You can rub it down with a cloth if you just want to gloss it up a bit, but I don't really want to do that because I'm very, very happy with the sheen that we've got. And I have to say, I think that these now look absolutely gorgeous. So I hope you found that useful. This is how we go about preparing for and then finishing these in a hard wax oil. So I hope it's been useful and look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye for now.